Welcome, gentlemen. This is Campfire Chronicles, episode number 17.
Yep.
Today we're going to talk about seasons. I'm Robby.
I still don't. Are we talking about seasons like weather seasons or our episode seasons?
I meant weather. I meant weather.
Okay.
Yeah. The distinction between seasons and our episodes makes no difference.
Yeah.
It's like whose line is
Well,
it
the
anyway?
thing is, though, because I was recently thinking about how we should be starting a new season, actually.
Oh, well, I guess Whitney is going to be the new season.
Yeah. Season 4.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be putting Thomas in the intro.
Yeah, actually, Thomas, I don't know if he wants this aired publicly, but he might be coming back to Ohio
Oh,
soon.
we'll bleep that out if he doesn't want to.
It's like, it'll just be, I don't know if Thomas wants this aired publicly, but
The bad lip reading dude will like investigate. Okay, so what's your favorite season?
oh,
I already know what ours are, but I don't know what yours is.
Yeah.
it's definitely not summer. Summer's just too hot, too many bugs. I would have to say fall, probably.
Fall's a good choice.
That's my second, yeah. I feel like fall is everybody's favorite, but... Oh, spring.
Spring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winter for me.
I was actually, that's what I was debating between either fall or winter, because winter is just like, there's something about it.
Yeah.
You know, especially
It's
when
when
it
all the
snows.
good holidays are.
Yeah.
Although technically Thanksgiving is in the fall, but I always
Actually,
lump it in
Christmas
with
is
winter.
even... It's only like 5 days
Yeah.
after fall ends, technically.
Yeah.
I just
It's
learned
so
that
weird.
in the year 2017 that winter starts on December 22nd. Or maybe it's a different day every year.
Well, 21st, 22nd. I feel like it
Okay.
varies.
You know, and the funny thing is, I feel like a lot of people don't like winter because you know what the winter blues are, right?
Yeah.
I feel like since we're a bit more like okay with going outside in the winter and stuff, because like I love going out and walking in this, you know, when it's cold, just put on a whole bunch of clothes, and like it doesn't. I feel like the winter blues doesn't affect me. That's why I could say winter's my favorite season.
I feel like it... Like, I was talking about this with Jess, and I was like, what's your favorite season, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, does this mean if it's like the ideal version of the season? Because recently we've had several winters where there's like no snow at all. And I feel like when it's all drab and
Oh
snowless,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like kind of...
When it's just cold and it's just gray,
Yeah,
then
there's
it's kind
no
of
snow.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of it being this cold if there's no snow?
And like
Yeah,
right
it's-
now it's autumn, but like the leaves are kind of a sickly green.
Well, that's what I was debating. Is like, because winter, I only like winter when it snows,
Yeah.
because that's what makes winter
Yeah,
besides
yeah.
being cold. But with autumn, at least you get like usually very nice weather.
Yeah.
You don't get any bugs.
I love the transition seasons just because, like, whether it's autumn or spring, you have this feeling that, like, something is going to happen. Like, something new is going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And it's sort of, like, exciting.
No,
Yeah.
winter is by far the hardest season to live in. It's just, I love the holidays and like the feel of it.
Yeah.
And like you can stay inside guilt free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you just want to play video games all day, there's like no problem.
That's so
because
true.
It's
Yeah.
like you can't go anywhere anyway. So
That's true.
That's actually what I love about when it's winter and there's a big snowstorm.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
well, I'm staying in, and
Yeah.
no one can say otherwise.
there was 2 or 3 years ago where there was the polar vortex that came through
yeah.
and hit the Midwest. I remember you and we played Monster Hunter 3 literally from like the time we got up until like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, because there's nothing to do. It was just
Well,
we
it's
got
literally there
snowed
was like
in.
a state
Yeah.
of emergency
Yeah.
where I was at, and you weren't even supposed to go to work or anything if you didn't have
That's
to.
awesome.
It was cool.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. No, I like winter and fall just because there's no bugs. But I was going to say, has summer always been this hot and muggy? Like, I feel like it...
I don't know. This year was particularly hot.
Well-
I mean, no, there's been plenty of summers like this.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
Well, because as a kid, I remember it being really hot, but I didn't know if that's just because I, like, handled the heat worse back then.
No.
Because I feel like every other season has sort of gotten warmer.
Well, this summer was it was like weird because, well, we went to Germany and we got sick there. Like, even though it was hot, usually we can handle that. Like, but I think being sick made it really worse, a lot
Yeah.
worse for us. And then the eclipse trip, that
was
like-
really hot.
that was just bad location, bad timing. But then you guys went to Whitney, but that was basically not
Oh,
summer weather.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Whitney
it's
was just
funny,
climbing
though,
a mountain.
because at one of the campsites, it was just barren, like, above the tree line, it's barren, and the sun's just, like, coming down on you. And it was so... I don't know, it was, like, hot. It, like, felt like your energy was being drained.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's such a... such a vague statement, but it really felt like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you're at that elevation especially, I don't think there's no cover from the sun, and I think it's more intense the higher you are.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know.
I'm just
Probably.
assuming.
Well, I think I don't know. It's just people always seem to underestimate just how intense the sun can get at sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're in a situation where like there may be cold weather or like a cold breeze, but the sun's constantly shining on you. You don't actually feel like you're being affected by the sun, but you're still being, burned by the sun all the same. So
yeah, you can get a sunburn on a cloudy day.
yeah.
It's funny because I feel like, well, recently I feel like everyone's answer for their favorite season is autumn, but I feel like summer, just in general, like in society, is the ideal season, and I think a lot of that must be shaped by like school or something. Like,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think it's like when people plan their trips and stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we ran the Zumba studio, in the summer we'd get no business. Like it would just drop off the roof. It would probably be like half the amount of business.
That's weird.
But like as soon as January 1st was like the best
Yeah.
time for people exercising. But I think like in the summer people go out and do things. And
What about
Maybe
spring?
if
Like
oh well,
beach bod. Huh?
I was gonna say just maybe if we were more like conscientious about where we planned our trips in the summer, like if we like went to like Canada or something
yeah.
to kind of like even out the weather, I think it'd be better because this summer was just like it was hot and muggy and bugs and it was just
Well, I mean,
the
before
worst.
we've gone in the summer without any
Yeah.
care about, like we went to Manitou in the height of summer and it was fine.
Yeah.
But Manitou Island was like the weather was really nice then. Really
Yeah, I know,
nice,
but I mean, it
so-
was in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
It depends where you go. Like I feel like when you go north or when you go west, where it's like more alpine, it's
Yeah.
cooler. And but Red River Gorge, I don't remember it being hot. Like I know it was hot in the woods, but when I think of it, I don't remember it being that bad.
It was
Only the first day was really hot. That was September.
yeah.
Oh,
Whatever
really?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was the beginning of September, and I remember the first day was super hot. You were kind of sick, and we were.
No, I like got 4 hours of sleep. That was
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. And it rained, and I remember you put on the rain jacket, and you're like, "Man, I just wish I could take this rain jacket off. It's so hot."
That's right. Yeah.
So the places we have gone to in summer, I mean, like you said, was Manitou and the sand dunes. I remember the sand dunes being really hot.
Yellowstone. That was
Yosemite.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Yosemite was totally
Yeah.
fine. I think just this year was kind of hot.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the timing that we went on the trips, like they happened to be super.
I mean,
warm.
it's been 80 degrees for the past month, like several months, like even up to today. This is
this week, yeah.
middle
Yeah.
to late October, and it's still in like the high 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's like one of the Ninas.
Yeah. Old Ninos. But so yeah, now that we've exhausted the season topic, I guess we could talk about the trip that we're about to go on.
Yeah.
Pictured rocks.
Pictured Rocks.
Yep.
Although-
Well, next topic.
Well, now that we've exhausted that topic.
I thought that was supposed to be a canoeing place, but now you're telling me that it's just
No, okay,
Yeah,
so
apparently-
so here's what it was. Way back when we had a voting thing, like a choice to vote on the
Yeah.
episode, we had Algonquin, Boundary Waters, and I put Pictured Rocks because I thought that was the canoeing one, but it was
I
actually
was saying Isle Royale.
yeah, Isle Royale's the one you can actually canoe at.
Oh.
Pictured Rocks, you can kayak in the lakes, but
Yeah.
So are we doing that?
We can't because
the season.
so
probably.
unless you own your own sea kayak, the only other way to do it is by renting it or like taking one. I think most of the stuff up there are like the guides where like you go out with a group of people.
Oh.
And at this point the weather's too cold. They don't do those things like usually like around Labor Day or end of September is when they stop doing those. So unfortunately we can't kayak on the lake, but we'll be hiking along the lake, so we'll get to see a lot of the things that kayakers would see.
Have you guys ever kayaked?
Yeah.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Just at the back of Torch Lake.
Because I'm curious if you guys prefer kayaking or canoeing. Because I canoe or I kayaked once. And
They're two different things because kayaking, I mean, you're usually by yourself, so you have to rely on yourself to move and things like that. But canoeing's like more laid back,
yeah,
you know. So I guess I would say I prefer canoeing because it's kind of like you can do things at your own pace.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like it seems so arbitrary, but I way prefer canoeing.
Well, yeah, and also kayaking, you're pretty claustrophobic in that.
That's true,
thing. You have to. I don't know. You guys have been in the kayak where you kind of
It's like
kneeling
right around you.
It's just really uncomfortable to sit
Yeah.
there for a long time. Canoes,
Well,
you
canoes
have the
they
whole
feel so
space
much
for
more
it.
leisurely and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're out like.
Plus, canoes are just designed to be leisurely. Kayaks, you can take them on, rougher waters.
Yeah. You don't see people like racing canoes and going on whitewater.
You do have those like trick canoe paddlers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like these. They wear like a tuxedo and they canoe to music and they like do all these weird canoe
Seriously?
tricks. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So,
Canoe ballet.
there's like a Portlandia skit about that.
Wait, so that was real? About a real thing?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought that was just. They were like, what two things could we put together to be absurd?
No, actually, I was gonna say the last time we've been in Michigan was like, I think season 1.
Wow, that's
Right?
true. Yeah.
Manitou.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the only place we've gone though in Michigan, right? Sleeping
Is it
Bear.
really?
Manitou.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because
It's right there.
yeah, and there's
Like,
it's like
there's no reason for us.
amazing
not-
wilderness.
Yeah,
too.
it's-
I think by the time we always decide to go there, it's late in the year and it gets really cold and stuff or something. I don't know.
Probably. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking we should go there for the winter, because probably get some snow up there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Manistee.
Yeah. good old Manistee.
Horny Manistee.
There's a Conan O'Brien skit if you haven't seen it. Hornymanatee.com.
That's an old skit, man. That's so
super old.
funny.
You know,
yeah.
a lot of those skits now are like 20 years old.
That's so
like the
weird.
Conan skits that I reference are like 20 years old now, or almost 20 years old, and they're not even relevant anymore.
Oh man.
So, what are you guys gonna do differently for this trip, if anything? Like, are you bringing out some new food to try, or
I'm gonna make steamed buns. So what?
just buns is funny?
Yeah.
I honestly, I mean, usually Andrew's the one who's always trying to do new fancy stuff. So I feel like if I tried to do something too, it would be kind of redundant and a lot more effort than it needed to be. So I usually stick to like my status quo. I'm gonna be bringing my hammock though. Looking forward to that.
Oh, I am gonna read this foraging book that I have, because it talks about acorns and like how to look for good ones. So if there's any oak trees up there,
Oh,
I'm gonna try to see if we can do something.
we could make not oatmeal,
Acorn
meal,
Acorn.
where you
Yeah.
like turn it into flour and stuff.
Yeah.
Alfie Aesthetics did that in one of his videos.
Yeah.
It was incredible. He found some like wild berries too and put them on top of there. It was good. I'm going to see if we can get sandwich press for the mini stove at REI, because I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say so you're saying a sandwich press for your mini stove.
So it's
I
like-
can't really picture exactly what you're.
It would be
Like it's like a square with a long handle on it, or
Yeah, it's just like a little square. Well, at least in the manga. So there's this camping manga that we found when we were in Japan, and I bought it and I was reading it the other day, and I was like, man, she's making a sandwich. Like she has this little, it's like maybe this big, right? And then it opens up, and then you put it on top. You just put it directly on top of the little stove like that, and then it has the press.
So it's not exactly like
yeah,
a very heavy thing.
No, I don't think so.
because
Well,
Thomas had one that was for like backyard campfire stuff.
Right. You can
Yeah.
get like a huge one or whatever.
Well, I've seen one where it's like, you know how like they have marshmallow sticks. Well, they have one where it's like you
Yeah.
clamp the sandwich into the end and
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
put it over the
Yeah,
fire,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
it heats up
Ooh.
that way.
Well, if we can find that too, I'll get that.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking like a hot sandwich with like cheese
Make some
melting on
panini.
it. Yeah, like a panini, exactly. A camping panini.
Camp-
That'd be good.
Camp
That would be good.
panini.
Yes.
One time, me and Thomas went to Hocking Hills. This was like when we were both single, so like we were
I
desperate.
don't know why you have to preface
Yeah.
No.
but I figured it's
There's
gonna be
a-
interesting.
we were
We were a
both
little thirsty.
we were both single and desperate, so like we were like, where should we camp? And he's like, let's go to the youth campground because we're youths and we can meet other youths there. The only other campsite that was taken was like 20 Boy Scouts at one camp. But he had those big like sandwich maker things, and in the morning we were making eggs in a basket. You know, like you put the hole.
Oh yeah.
For some reason he was like, oh, I probably don't need to put a hole in the bread, so he just did that, and it just like turned out terribly.
It just oozed all out
He
of
was trying
Yeah.
to cook it through the bread.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. was good though. It tasted good.
Yeah, well, you were talking about you wanted to do some more hot foods for this trip.
Yeah, I think, like, I was trying to think about what makes for a satisfying meal. And it's like, lots of times it's just like the food has to be warm or like hot, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're just always eating frozen leftovers, you just keep eating and eating, you know?
Well, yeah, you're usually the kind of person who brings like really easy foods, but not like things you cook.
Exactly, yeah. They're all easy, but not satisfying.
We could get like the soup that I usually bring. And just
that's true, yeah.
If we brought one and we actually all like we shared it, it'd be pretty good.
Well, you gave me some like leftover rice saroni type of deal. That I have it with me actually.
Okay.
Oh, and I also have this really elaborate ramen. I think it's a Korean one that I helped my buddy AJ move the other day, and he just had a bunch of stuff in his kitchen. He's like, "Here, you want this?" And I said,
yeah, we got some ramen too. Actually, we can bring that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I brought some gnocchi. How do you say it? Gnocchi?
No.
I always say gnocchi, but
Gnocchi? Yeah. I guess.
but it's probably more.
Gnocchi.
So talk about the steamed buns, because for people who don't know what those are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Chinese bread. You take flour, some yeast so it like rises, and you mix it into dough, let it rest a bit, and then you steam it with water. Well, obviously. And it just rises
Steam
up,
it.
and it's like a cloud. It's like eating a cloud.
Well, what's the translation? Because I want to know the translation.
Well, it's
the
like
translation's funny.
Oh.
Manto. Oh, there's like literal translation?
Well, the literal characters means something head.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know what man means. You guys keep talking.
But yeah, it's really fluffy and...
It's like if you were eating a bread roll, except there's no crust on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use cake flour for most of it, because I think that's supposed to make it like even softer.
Now, we do know from past experiences that Andrew and pastry type baking things hasn't been very successful.
It's been successful. It's just messy. Because the calzones turned out well.
The calzones,
The tapioca crepes, the second one, turned out well.
But those are different. Those are like you can just put them on a pan. But like I'm talking about like when you guys tried to do the cornbread.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But that's like requires baking.
Yeah, no, I mean
this is steaming. So
I've actually got the
device.
I can show you the device really quick. Let me go grab it.
Yeah.
I can't seem to find it. Man probably means it's like noodles, the flour, I guess. Maybe it's a flour head. I don't know. Somebody who speaks Chinese, please leave a comment and let us know what.
Somebody who is actually fluent in Chinese.
Or like text your mom.
So see, this is the thing you use to steam. It looks like a little UFO. Looks like aperture signs.
Oh, that's what you're gonna steam it in?
Yeah. So you drop that into the pot.
I feel like when you make them, you should make them a bit smaller in size.
Yeah. Actually, this is surprisingly big.
Dude.
Like I made ones that were this big, like 3 of them or something.
Wait, so you put them in one?
You just sit them on there, and there's water underneath.
What pot are you gonna use?
That big one I have.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh wow, no, that's great, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll work. Well, you should just make the balls of dough ahead of time.
No, that's not fun.
This is what
you gotta do the whole process.
I think people understand how you make dough though.
It's fun for me to watch. It's
He
fun.
wants to do it.
Well, also it's the principle of bringing something non-perishable.
Well, but it's just
And also be lighter.
I totally
It'll be less
understand what
heavy.
you're saying, but it's just like if you said I pre-made this dough beforehand.
It's more fun
then
to
I think they
watch,
would understand
too,
it.
I think.
No, I know. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
If we were
But
practical,
if we were going for practicality,
I mean, if we were
you're
going for
making that dough
practicality,
beforehand.
I would not bring a camera or a tripod.
But see, as long as he's doing it and I don't have to worry about it and
Yeah,
clean
yeah,
up
yeah.
after him, then you can
I'll just
do
let the
whatever you
bears
want.
lick my doughy fingers.
Oh, so we were talking about that earlier. We need to find. Well, maybe we could combine the pumpkin stuff with the manto.
Oh
What
yeah,
if
we can
put
make
pumpkin
buns.
filling inside of those.
Oh yeah.
Make like little
we could do
dessert
I
some
think we
Yeah,
should do
yeah.
that. The graham cracker too. Bring some graham crackers, crumble that in the pumpkin.
So yeah, explain what your idea for that was.
Oh well, since it's fall, we were talking about something autumn like, and Robby suggested something with pumpkin, and then they started talking about like a pumpkin pie type thing.
Yeah.
So I figured why not just bring like a bunch of graham crackers that are crumbled up, and you can kind of like use that as sort of a crust for like a pie. I think that'd be pretty good because like you can't really go wrong with that.
Well, what I was thinking was using a billy can, and then you put in like some sort of crust layer, then a pumpkin layer, then a crust layer, pumpkin layer.
Oh. That'd be
But if we
interesting.
did like a pie, we'd need like some sort of.
You could easily
pot.
just get some little tinfoil muffin cups and just cut them and
that's a
stack
good
them
idea.
so it'd be easy to bring, and then just make little tiny little pumpkin tarts or something.
Sometimes people like use clementines peels.
Actually, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Clementines? Oh, clementine peels?
Yeah, to like
Oh, that'd
bake
be
a cake
interesting because then you get like the orange zest.
Oh.
we'll need nutmeg and cinnamon for that
Yeah.
pumpkin spice.
Indeed.
Actually, that'd be cool though, making a dessert baozi.
Mhm.
So a baozi is a manto that's filled with stuff.
Although the breading is the actual bread part's slightly different, isn't it? Or
No, it's the same. It's the same bread and everything. It's just
Oh.
that the baozi, instead of just like a ball that becomes plump, it's like you roll it out and then wrap it around the dough. So the bread is kind of
It's
like
more
the
like
same
tender,
consistency. Yeah.
Dude, the manto we had when we were in
Those were
China, oh my god.
See,
it's
so
like this big.
I made manto recently. It's kind of like it was the firmer kind that you're kind of used to, but I'm gonna try making it only with this like cake flour because I think that's supposed to make it fluffier. So,
Okay.
see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Is it gonna taste like cake?
No, it doesn't have
Oh.
any like sugar stuff in it.
Oh.
It's literally like flour for baking a cake, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to make it like poofier. Yeah.
So on another note about this trip, I'm actually really looking forward to it. Not just because, that we're going up and camping, but the fact that the last two of our trips have kind of fallen short of expectations.
Yeah.
Because we went, well, I exclude
including-
Whitney
yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't go to Whitney, but I'm sure it was just like it was pretty
Whitney was awesome.
tough for you guys.
Yeah.
But it's like this one, after being sick in Germany and then the nightmare that was Shawnee.
eclipse, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this feels like it's gonna be nice. You're gonna have no bugs, like perfect weather, really like a nice trail.
Yeah, no, it's like I felt like nature's been trying to kill me recently. Like I climbed that mountain, I got altitude sickness. Then we did Germany, we all got sick, and then we did the eclipse, and like there's chiggers and ticks were biting us, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And then, well, whitewater rafting was really fun, but that was still I was really tired.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of whitewater rafting, since I didn't go, I wanted your guys' like firsthand thoughts about the whole thing.
it's super fun.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you've done it before. right?
I've done almost essentially the same thing. I think yours was a bit more extravagant, and I think you had like, I think you guys went up to class 4 rapids.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think
believe so.
ours wasn't class 4, it was like class 3 is the highest, but
Oh.
but still is like you guys had like alcohol and like
Yeah.
the food you guys had was crazy.
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
had good food, but you guys had like so much. And
Well, when I said it's super fun, like I wasn't even thinking of that. That
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
But like just doing the rafting,
Mm-hmm.
before we did it, I was tired and I was like,
Yeah, I
"Man,
was not looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh god, I don't want to do this because we scheduled it right after Mount Whitney. But as soon as we started, just as soon as you get on that water, it's so much fun.
And it's
Yeah.
also like it's not a lot of work.
no,
You
it's
just
really
paddle
not.
a couple
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the guide's doing all the hard stuff.
Yeah. Which it's for those of you who haven't done it, the guides, they give you instructions that are very clear. It's like forward
2,
1,
yeah.
and then it's everybody goes one stroke forward, and then they'll be like back 2, and everybody does back.
Yeah.
I can't. How did he differentiate between left and right?
Just back right, back left.
Did he say back right 2 or what?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I can't remember that
that's
part
weird.
either. But somehow he also differentiated between left and right. And I don't know. It's just really fun. Like when you hit the big waves and then it splashes.
Yeah.
Like you know how like at events and stuff you feel sometimes like you're supposed to cheer for somebody and you're like I don't feel like cheering for this. It's not that exciting. But then you actually go over one of those things. You can't help but cheer out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, that was awesome.
There's like a scene in the video we did where we're just whooping for like a minute straight.
Yeah, I remember watching it. It's just like, whoop, whoop, whoop. I was like, oh, okay.
So when you went, what was it? It was in the summer, right?
Yeah, I went in the summer.
What was the weather like? Because
It actually wasn't that bad.
Okay.
I mean, of course, you're whitewater rafting, so you never really feel that hot. It probably wasn't as hot as for you.
well, yeah.
as
See,
yours is,
it's
though.
funny because it was hot there, but it was kind of nice because it was like such a dry heat that you get
Yeah.
wet and then you just dry off immediately
Yeah.
once you hit land, and it's like
I remember it being a little humid, but it was still really nice. Like the weather was really nice, and I did have a question though. Do you guys just sleep out in the open on the wood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had like these big like what are those called?
The planks. I guess,
planks,
or
yeah, the
platforms.
big planks.
Elevated
That,
platforms,
yeah,
yeah.
and then they just had sleeping mats that you put out. Like they're like gym mats basically.
Yeah.
And
They
then
actually
supplement.
specifically were like, don't bring tents.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think.
Because it never rains there, and they're like,
Yeah,
the stars
Thomas said
are.
something about that.
Yeah.
I think maybe that was when he was planning that.
Yeah,
But-
some people. I think one or two people brought tents just for privacy or whatever, but you really don't need it.
Yeah.
And the stars were amazing too.
Yeah,
those
it
were
was
really
awesome.
nice.
Yeah, those time lapses were really awesome.
Yeah,
It's always exciting for me to watch a video that I'm not in
yeah,
because usually,
it's fresh and new.
yeah, because usually once you go through the trip, it's fun to watch the video even when you go on the trip. But after you go through and you're sitting and doing a watch through and editing and stuff like that, you kind of know what's there.
Yeah.
But like I'm super looking forward to your guys' Whitney video just because I want to see all that shenanigans with the wag
Yeah,
bag
it's
and stuff.
Good, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh no, go ahead.
Right.
I was just gonna say it's also like when we do the videos where we split up. It's so much
Yeah.
fun
Oh,
watching
yeah.
other
That
people's
is fun.
perspectives.
we gotta do a split up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't done those.
Well, we were talking about if Nicole has time, like we could do a split up episode with me and Nicole and you and Andrew,
That'd be cool.
or vice versa.
Well,
so
I
we-
was thinking we get some other YouTubers because, like we said, we were gonna do something with Scrambled O.
yeah,
We could invite other YouTubers and.
Mhm.
I mean, that's just one idea
Yeah,
for
yeah,
collaboration, but.
No, that'd be cool.
Because last time we talked to Scrambled O, we were like, yo, we got to do a trip together. And he was like, yeah, I always talk with other YouTubers and like, let's do this. And it never happens. I was like, okay, I'll make sure it happens. It's been like a year.
it's just really hard to coordinate. I mean, it's already hard enough sometimes to coordinate with us.
Well, it takes
Yeah.
one person being dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Like, as long as one person's dedicated to it, it'll eventually happen.
Yeah.
But if nobody's dedicated to it yet, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's just a little easier for us because we're always within communications reach.
Yeah.
It's like we send a message and then 5 minutes later somebody at least responds.
Well, and now the ball's rolling.
Yeah.
We've done 21 episodes
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
so it's like, let's do an episode. It's not, let's do an episode for the first time. Oh, what's it going to involve? Blah, blah, blah. By the way, do you guys get this thing where you say, okay, so like the last example that's happened to me is my mom and I sometimes will get hired to be like party starters, or we'll go in and do like little ballroom dance lessons. So one time we did it for like a bachelorette party. One time we did it for a wedding or something. And then this recent one, we did it for a wedding. Okay. So like a month ahead of time, my mom was like, okay, somebody wants us to do this. Are you in? It's like a month from now. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was all excited to do it. Then when the actual day rolls around, I'm like, I don't want to do this at all. Why did I say yes to this? And that happens to me for like any type of thing like that, or like somebody invites me to a party. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to this stupid party, blah, blah, blah. But then when I actually go, it's actually fun.
Oh, yeah.
Does that happen to you guys all the time?
Oh yeah. I feel like it's just sometimes you're just kind of settled into.
It's all about the inertia, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I've been thinking about a lot, mostly because my inertia is at a standstill a lot of the time. No, but
Your inertia is at a standstill until 4 p.m. rolls around when you get out of your bed. No, I'm just kidding. No.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can relate to that. I mean, I've only seriously planned 3 trips: Manitou, Germany, and this one. And it's like when the task is just sitting in front of you, you're just like, oh, I'll just look at it, the next day. But then once you find out, like eventually I just start pulling up all the websites and I just leave them open on my computer, and eventually like all the resources there, and you kind of get the ball rolling. You're just like, okay, we're gonna do this route, we're gonna stay here, we're gonna go on these days, and then it comes together really easily, and you're like, why didn't I get that done faster? And it's just like you need that inertia.
I will say a lot of times when people ask me if I want to go to something in advance, I usually do not give a committal answer because I'm
Always, he's 100% always says maybe.
well in a lot of
Or I'm
ways.
not
Like
sure.
I feel that that's kind of how life naturally flows, where you're just like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna be feeling or thinking in that moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is also nice to kind of force yourself to go and do something. So.
I was just thinking about this the other day. You know how like somebody will be like, oh, I'm not that social of a person. I don't really think that there's many people who aren't social. I think it's that the way that society's set up now is that to be social, you have to actively go out of your way to do it.
Yeah.
If we lived in like small communities where everybody was always interacting, you'd have natural interactions just like when I'm over here editing, like we'll just like be randomly doing something and we'll start talking about some topic that's when like real conversation happens.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if I was just like, yo guys, tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm gonna come over and we're gonna talk and have deep conversations. You'd be like, what is wrong with you? You know? So I like just the way it is now, it's so hard to have spontaneous conversations just because you're not interacting. You know, well, for me especially because I work from home. But I mean, you do too.
Yeah, but it's totally true because like especially, and I talked with this actually with Taya because she comes from Berlin where you take public transportation and you like everything's within. Well, I mean, you walk everywhere.
Yeah.
But like in America, she was talking about how it's so different because just to go somewhere and to have to
it's an ordeal.
Hang out with a friend, you have to get in your car, like drive 20 minutes just to hang out with a friend or something, and it's just like when you think about it, it is a lot of work, and some people just can't get that motivation. Just be like, let's just get it going.
Yeah.
You know, another thing is I feel like a lot of places where social interactions happen, it's like you're not only it's not only like a natural interaction with each other, but there's also like not much of an environment to interact with. I mean, like sometimes there is, but like I feel like the best sort of conversations happen when you're doing something with people and there's like stuff stimulating you to talk about.
That's how I've always okay, so you guys probably know this because you know me well, but I don't care to go to bars, I don't care to go any place like that because like I'm not really like a social drinker, and usually like clubs and stuff like that that's loud. It's really hard to actually
I hate loud places.
Yeah. But it's just like for me, the time where I'm feel most natural to interact with someone is where like if I'm in a situation where I don't know how to explain it, like if I was at like an event and I know that these people that are also at this event, we share a mutual interest.
Yeah.
So it's easier to just, naturally strike up a conversation. You already have this mutual link. Whereas when you go to some random place, you just kind of have to like brave yourself and go into the...
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the way... Actually, that's one thing I think that's really good about phones. Like, people like to be like, oh, yeah, we're always on our phones, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, there's really no natural, spontaneous social interaction that you can have outside of either random occurrences when you go somewhere or work in school.
Yeah.
Like when you're at home, you see the same 3 people. You can have those interactions all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you're a 4-person household, whatever. But with phones, I can have a random spontaneous conversation with anybody, like who actually has a phone also.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one positive.
And it's also like the manner of interaction on a phone is kind of like less pressure because you don't have to like respond immediately and stuff.
That's basically how I grew up because it was like when I grew up, I had a really hard time. Like I was really shy, so I had a hard time interacting with people if I was nervous around them.
That was like everybody.
But well, I know, but like
no, I know,
but like so in terms of like social life, like asking a girl out, like I asked my first girlfriend out over internet messenger because it was easier for me to be more natural. Like you didn't have to have that face to face.
I definitely had that experience too.
And, and it's like that's basically how I've lived my whole life. Is that when I don't know how to say it, but it's always easier to interact through like a phone or through a messenger app or something. Face-to-face.
That aspect of it, I don't find the best. Like I feel like we need that practice to interact as direct human beings. The issue that I have is that our society's not set up for it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like we're so segregated and compartmentalized that interaction doesn't happen all the time. So it doesn't become just like walking and talking.
That is why bars are the biggest like social interaction area though, because the alcohol it gets rid of anyone's expectations and inhibitions. So it's like,
but I feel like okay, this is getting into something else, I guess, but I feel like I feel like the way society is, it's kind of like people have developed this mindset of not wanting to interact with people, even when they're in a situation where they could. Like I recently saw this article where they wanted to change the way bus seats were or something so that they were like curved, so that people would be facing each other, they'd be a little bit more inclined to talk, and a lot of the reaction was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to talk with people on the bus. And I think it's like, I don't think it's that that's how they are and they just don't want to talk to people. It's just like they're in that mindset where this isn't a natural place to interact with people. Why would I want to do that?
Well, I mean,
but it could be.
It could be, but I feel like the other issue is that there's so many people now that even if we had the mindset of like I'm going to interact with more people, it still doesn't feel that comfortable because like just if you look at like human civilization from what I've read, the groups that like villages and towns, they only ever got to a certain amount of size before you just stopped being able to like handle it and they'd have to like create another town because like we're only built to handle a certain amount of
I think hunter-gathering tribes were like 200, 250 people or something. Yeah.
So like when I lived in New York City, for example, you constantly saw so many different people and so many new people and you had so much stimuli all the time that it was just overwhelming all the time.
Yeah.
Also, creeps ruin things for everybody.
And creeps ruin things for everybody.
That's true because there's been a lot of times where I was just thinking like, why don't people just spontaneously like compliment someone or just say something nice to someone?
Yeah.
And then the thought always comes to my head like, well, maybe they'd just be like, why are you talking to me like in the first place?
Yeah.
Because people have that mindset of like, just don't talk to me.
I saw this. Sorry, I saw this meme. Well, I don't know if it's a meme technically, but this. What is a meme? There's this thing of it was like this guy talking about how he was gonna go on a first date with someone from like Tinder or something. But he was like, yeah, I bought like flowers and chocolates and I put on a nice shirt and reserved a restaurant and blah blah blah. And she didn't even show up, and it's like, well, your first problem was like putting all your eggs in that basket before you even knew who you were meeting. Like, so I don't know that. Creep thing just made me think. No, just like don't see the relevance. No.
I was like trying to figure out. I was like, so is he a creep or something?
No,
or?
well, it's just related to the whole thing. Like, why don't people go out of their way? But it's because like some people just they cross the boundaries, I guess. But it's like such a fuzzy thing sometimes. But
it's just kind of funny when you think about it. That in today's society, if you just try to be a genuinely nice person, there will be people out there who just think you're being like weird and have like outside intentions.
It makes sense because like sometimes that's like somebody's been so nice and then it turns out they're trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
And like maybe not sell me something, but sometimes it's like they're trying to sell me their religion, and I'm like, yo, dude.
There's a group in Columbus that's like this. I don't want to get too much into that, but there's like every story I've heard of people who interacted with them, it was like, they were like super cool, super nice, and then suddenly like dropped this thing on me.
It's like, so have I told you about it? I'm like, dude, you were such a nice person. What was I about to say? Crap. Oh, yeah. And also, I feel like everybody has like a different tolerance level, like for what they're willing to, like what type of conversations they're willing to have with a stranger.
Yeah.
But I will say that if a large amount of people think like the way they do on Seinfeld, we're doomed. Like if people overthink interactions to that degree, then it's like, man, everybody's crazy.
I feel like sometimes people do think about it like that, but then they're also a little self-aware of how they're overthinking about it. But actually, I was going to bring up Seinfeld for a different reason. Because you remember the episode where like Jerry or Elaine's boyfriend gets like super close with Jerry's parents for some reason. It just made me think of the whole like just like
I don't remember that episode.
Well, it's just like her boyfriend was like taking Jerry's parents out like to dinner and like museum tours, and she's like, why is he so nice to these random people he's just met? And that's the whole thing. It's just like, why not? Why can't someone just be nice without it being questioned?
Well, I mean, I think the other thing is like it's kind of hard for us to like fathom just having weird relationships. Like you're friends with somebody who you should never be friends with just because it's unusual, not that it's wrong or anything. That would be one of those instances. Be like, why are you friends with your girlfriend's parents? I don't know. I'm just saying for some reason. We just seem to hit it off for some reason. That's like that episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Malcolm is going out with this one girl.
He starts dating a girl, but then he ends up like closer with the family and the parents.
And then at some point the girl's like, so are we going or what? It's like, no, you just go ahead. So she leaves and he hangs out with the parents.
That would be kind of weird.
So we really got off the topic of any sort of camping, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
During this podcast. So how's the rest of your life going? Everything going good?
Everything's going good.
I think we're almost caught up on all of our Patreon bonuses.
Yeah.
So for people who are Patreon people,
Good
they
job
get
on that.
commentaries, bloopers, postcards,
Other things.
sometimes other things.
Yeah.
But we were really behind. We got caught up on all of those.
Are we
but-
post? This is off the
This will be
topic.
public, though. So this will be for
Are we
everybody.
posting this tonight? Are we gonna try to?
Yeah,
Okay.
if we can.
If you're watching this and you're a Patreon supporter who's eligible for a shout out, make sure you get your shout outs into us soon.
I think, did Thomas?
I don't know. I'm
He
just,
did,
I'm just
but I
saying
think
it
those
again.
are for the Whitney episode. It's not for this episode, is it?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Disregard everything we just said. We'll look that up
Well,
later.
yeah, I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
figure
Edit it out.
You can send us something.
So, well, I mean, we still have technically 20 minutes left to talk about whatever we want. We're at 40 minutes right now. You guys have anything in particular that you want to
I
talk
feel
about?
like I was going to say something related to that last talk, but I can't think of it now. So,
Well,
It's
you know,
helpful.
actually,
There's another-
I can add on to that because I still have more to say about it. The other thing is that sometimes you're just not in the mood. You know, like
Yeah.
when I'm on my A game and I'm like, I'm the best version of me that I can reach. The talking to people and socializing and interacting with people is the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. And you're like, man, I just want to go say hi to that person. Hey, how's it
Yeah.
going? Whatever. Strike up a conversation. But like when I'm not feeling good or like when I've got other stuff on my mind or whatever, it's just like the last thing you want to do is talk to some stranger and be like, dude,
Yeah, that's something like when you need both sides need to recognize the social cues. If someone like comes up to me and is talking to me and I'm just kind of like they have to recognize that if I'm not interested in the conversation,
Yeah.
then to break it off.
Yeah.
Don't make me have to say like, listen, I don't want to talk right now, or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
here's a question for you, because I'm curious if you two do this, because when I go into a social situation and I'm trying to read the social cues, I always err on the side of they don't want to interact with me too much.
well,
And
it
then I
depends
just
on
go
what it
from there.
is. You talking about social situation or you talking about grocery shopping?
No, like social situation. Well, either. I don't know. Like you're just talking with someone. Like, for example, a friend that you're not super close with.
Oh.
So, like, I'll just be like I don't want to. Basically, I tell them, I'm like, by the way, if you need to kick me out at any time, just let me know. Because I'm like, I don't want to friggin' sit there all night like while they're waiting for me to leave. Because I've had that happen to me. And I'm just like, what is happening right now?
I think I find myself in less social situations than you are.
Well, I was going to say, if you even had that in your mind, then you will never do that to somebody. You will never overstay your welcome. If you don't even have to say anything.
No, that's the thing though. That's kind of why I do that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Oh.
even if you didn't say anything, it still wouldn't happen
Oh,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
something
yeah.
you're actually conscious of.
Yeah.
There are people who are just not conscious of that. And they just cannot read. So in Japanese, I don't know if... Can you say read the atmosphere in English? Do you say that?
Like read the situation. I don't
Read
know.
the situation, yeah.
Yeah.
In Japanese, there's literally kuki, which means atmosphere, and yomenai, which means can't read.
Yeah.
They say that and they say KY as an abbreviation. I was like, that's kind of KY.
KY, him and hers.
But it's like there's some people who just cannot read that, like, look, man, I'm tired. I want you to leave my house.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think if you had that in your mind. But yeah, so like it depends on. I will never like over talk somebody if it seems like they're not interested, you know. But I've had that happen to me many times where people are
Oh,
talking
yeah.
at me and I'm just like, dude, do you think?
I feel like, if you're in a social situation, like specifically your example, Andrew, and you're just sitting there and you have to say to someone, or if you want to say to someone that's like, yo, if you need me to go, just kick me out. I feel like at that point, you might as well just go, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's harder to read. The reason I do that is because so often it is just like such a guessing game, and I'm just like, might as well just be upfront. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you say, okay, I need you to leave. Because like I feel like a lot of people, at least I do, like I'll avoid saying that if someone's overstaying their welcome, just because I don't want to hurt their feelings. So it's just nicer to get that out in the open sometimes.
The way I feel about that, and I haven't had that situation in such a long time, but the way I feel about it is like, how can somebody think that it's okay to get their feelings hurt when you're asking somebody to leave?
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Yeah.
Like, why is that even a thing? You know, it's like, I had no, you have no right to impinge on my time just because you want to impinge on my time, you know?
yeah.
It's a funny concept because it's like it's you're in like my place and I'm ready for you to go, so I shouldn't feel guilty in any respect to ask you to leave. But for some reason you do.
On a slightly related note, I was thinking recently about how back in the day, if you were hosting someone at your house, it was kind of like you were going out of the way for them. But these days, I feel like with my generation at least, it's like if you have people coming over to your house, they're doing you the favor.
No, I totally agree because
you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah, no, because whenever my friends come visit me, and I feel guilty about this, so Ryan and Nicole, I feel totally guilty. But like I usually go to the gym with Ryan every weekend, and he always comes here, and I always feel like he's doing me the favor by coming here. And then he comes and hangs out at my place. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I didn't have to drive.
I mean, maybe that's more with like really close friends or something, but it's just like, I'm so glad that I don't have to move.
but what you're talking about is kind of more like a casual situation, though.
Yeah.
Like if you were like hosting an actual get together, then yeah, I would feel like, you know, if I had 3 or 4 people coming over, then I would feel like I was doing the favor because, you know, I had to get my place ready for them.
Yeah.
But when it's just like, oh, you want to come hang out? Why don't you come over here? Then yeah, it's like more like what you're talking about.
We got a neighbor who the first time my mom and her hung out together, my mom went over to her house, and then at just some point in the night, she said, well, I'm tired, everybody's got to leave.
Oh, that's...
And it wasn't like a mean thing or anything. It was just like, okay, everybody's got to go. And it was just like that simple. So I feel like if you approach it right, you can make it work.
You could do the whole Bruce Wayne thing.
Yeah.
just go.
Maybe that's why you feel kind of rude when you ask someone to leave, because you're saying they're doing you the favor by coming over. So now you're like, well, now that you've come over, now you can just go.
This is totally off topic, but I was thinking social gathering, house party, and then I remember I went to this one house party. It was like this guy hosted it, and it was at his parents' house, and they're out of town. This was like a few months ago, so it's like not one of those high school
hosted it, and his parents were out of town.
A long time ago, 3 months ago.
But we were all drinking, and then
Wait a minute. How old is this guy?
No, his parents just happened to live near where everyone else lives.
So it was just like a good house, so you wanted to use it. Okay.
We wandered into this dark room and just saw like dozens and dozens of gallon jugs full of some sort of liquid. And we were like, what is this? And the first thing that I thought of was like Trailer Park Boys, which, by the way, John Dunsworth, R.I.P. He's one of the guys. But anyway, in that show, they always like they pee in jugs and talk about piss jugs. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, "What is this?"
Was it moonshine?
No, so I guess it was rainwater. But like someone told us it was tea, and I was like, "That's not tea." But that's just
like gallons of tea, just in case.
That was a completely non sequitur.
That was very non sequitur.
Something I was gonna say, but the tea water got me off.
We're talking about social gatherings.
Social gatherings.
Whether it's easier to host someone or...
Oh, right, yeah. So my best friend Brendan, I'll go to visit him. He lives like 30 minutes away, like a solid 30 minutes away from door to door. So I'll go to his house, but the reciprocation is that he feeds me. So I'll go there and then I do the driving when I get the free
That was a good reciprocation.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's maybe one way you guys could alleviate the... Have that little fridge over there stocked with drinks. I'm like, please help yourself to a drink. Have some chips. That type of thing.
That is one thing I miss is like candy bowls. Whenever you go to your like aunt's or grandma's house or whatever, it's just like,
Oh, I got a perfect segue into how we can bring this back into camping. Not that we need to be on camping, but how do you guys feel about interacting with people at campsites?
like other people.
Because it's like a perfect microcosm of what we're talking about.
That's kind of like what I was relating to earlier, where when you're in a situation where you know everyone's kind of like-minded, it's a lot more easier to just naturally interact with these people.
Yeah.
Because you already have this point of interest that you share, so you know at least you can discuss that. And then from there you can kind of like, learn more about this person,
98% of the time you're interacting with someone really cool when you're camping too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gears of War Kid. Gears of War Kid. Talk about Gears of War Kid.
Okay, actually, the one situation that did come to mind was, this was like back in high school. one of my friends, our friendship was kind of rocky for various reasons, but I went over to his house and he was like really into the game Gears of War when they came, just like so into it. So I was there for a sleepover, and eventually, like we're playing, eventually I get way too tired at like 4 a.m. or something. I fall asleep. I wake up, he's still playing. And I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna go now. And he's like, okay, I'll see you later. He's like still playing the whole time as I'm like slowly backing away. Like, well, it was a good hanging out. I'll see you later.
That's okay. That's not what I thought he was. I thought he was like the type of person who like you have one thing in common, and then every time you talk to them, that's all they'll talk about because they want to connect, but they don't know how to like just make regular small talk. So they're like. Always going back to that one well that you have together.
I sometimes feel like that when if I meet someone and they're like really into like some video games or something, I feel like sometimes I'll just kind of fall back on like talking about like when we were talking with Haley, she was talking about like Destiny and stuff like that. And we would talk about like her work in the music industry, but then we kind of like fall back. I kind of fall back on like video games and stuff. It's just sometimes you just feel more natural talking about that.
Well, I mean, that's different. That's just something you have in common.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, talking specifically about one thing is like, Gears of War kid. That's why I thought Gears of War kid was.
Another campsite situation that I remembered was a while back in Yellowstone, like our first trip there. I remember I had to go, like, it was at one of the car campsites or whatever. And I had to go to the bathroom, so there was like a campsite next to us with an RV. No one was outside; they're all in the RV. And I like cut across that to go to the bathroom. I come back and Thomas was just like appalled. He's like, "Did you just cut across the campsite?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, I don't know. It's weird because I feel like people interpret those sorts of interactions differently. Because to me, it was like these are people camping. They're gonna be cool with me doing this, and it's like they're inside anyway. So it's like it wasn't even an issue to me.
Yeah, everybody's got different.
Yeah.
Levels. Thomas is a little higher strung than most. That's why we love him.
We're totally throwing him under the bus.
Thomas is gonna be like, somebody just suggested, it was Charlie Joe actually, suggested that we make a commentary about one of the episodes with just Thomas doing it, but an episode where Thomas isn't in it.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
That would be so
great.
good. Like,
that would be hilarious.
Full Thomas commentary. Where he wasn't in it.
Like it looks like they're having fun there.
So Thomas will just post the Campfire Chronicles to the YouTube page without notifying us or anything. It'll just be him talking to camera, and it'll be like a piece of paper with a checklist. All the different grievances he has with me. And on March 3rd, 2016, Andrew said. Oh, man. Okay.
But we love you, Thomas. Love you.
There we do. Cool. Okay. Any closing thoughts?
No. Okay. It's time for you to leave.
Thank you for watching.
It's time for you to stop listening.
We'll see you next time.